All right, guys, we've got a lot to talk about this week. The Johns brothers and the Carolina Hogs are back at Major League Pickleball this weekend for their first time since their tanking and subsequent withdrawal at MLP Columbus. The biggest question was, are they going to change their attitude and are they going to try? Daytona was the best MLP event of the year, hands down. I'll break down the biggest upset in Major League Pickleball history, Hunter and Kwong's strategy that has the Mad Drops in championship contention, and Megan and I's 11-0 Sunday Night Pickle over Ben Johns and whether Ben and Collin are flipping the switch on their MLP performances. Prior to the event, we had a Viv David for a Viv Glosman trade. Viv David went to the Atlanta Bouncers and Glosman to the Slice. Nothing really too notable here. Both teams needed a bit of a shakeup since they're on the outside looking in for playoff contention. But I think that the Slice probably win this trade just because I don't see how Viv David meshes that well with Victoria DiMuzio. Viv plays exclusively the right side, and I think she's going to get iced out of matches if Victoria plays the left, but we'll see. Both teams needed to make a move. In the first match on Thursday, the Black Diamonds swept the Hustlers. Zane Ford seemed to be having some health problems as he called a medical timeout. Then he actually withdrew from the rest of the competition. And this is kind of a theme throughout the weekend. Donald Young, out. Helena Spiritus, out. Megan Dazan, out. Zane Ford, out. Callie Smith, out. Irina Terashenko, out. Neda Tuyanatoa, out. Lots of withdrawals. The Mad Drops are showing that they're a championship contender when they have their full lineup. In back-to-back weekends, their women handed Tyra and Georgia their first loss of the season, as well as Kate and Anna. They also took out Anna Lee and Megan in Orlando, giving them head-to-head wins over the top three teams in the league. As Benjamin Franklin famously wrote, nothing is certain in life except for death and taxes and Kawamoto's being underrated. The Drops took the women's but lost the next two matches. Wang Yun and Catherine Parento beat Hayden and Anna to push them to a Dreambreaker, where the Mad Drops just rolled. It was honestly a great Dreambreaker, and the Shock didn't even play badly. The Mad Drops just out-executed them and earned the win 21-12. Dare I say, the Shock were in awe? Oh god. Yeah, I probably shouldn't talk because up next was our match against the Utah Black Diamonds. On a points per match basis, we're in third place, and the Black Diamonds were all the way down in ninth. Prior to the match, we lost Megan due to an illness, but we were fortunate to have Krista Gacheva able to fill in for us. She and Annalise saved 2 game points on their way to a very, very gritty 12-10 win. Willie and I continued the momentum with a pickle against Tyler and Connor, but that is where the momentum came to a screeching halt. Connor and Elise played an awesome match to bring them back to 1-2. Tyler and Jeannie tied it up at 2-2, and then they rolled us in the Dreambreaker. Connor and Tyler crushed Willie and I 10-1 and 6-2 respectively, and they gave the Black Diamonds the win. Prior to this, according to Matty Pickles and his nerd charts, the top 8 teams were a perfect 42-0 against the bottom 8 teams. Well, make that 42-1 with the largest upset in Major League Pickleball history. You hate to see it. On Friday, we had the day off to think about our loss, but if you're a 5.0 plus player, you should be thinking about joining my one-of-a-kind training session in Austin at the end of June. It's an intense training session combined with a Moneyball event. It's the very first of its kind, and it's going to be epic. Sign-up instructions we pinned in the comments down below. St. Louis started the day with a sweep over the Black Diamonds, and Chicago swept the Hustlers as well, who were playing just one of their 4 starting players. Then we had Ranchers versus Hogs in the first MLP event for Ben and Collin since the Columbus tournament. If you recall, Pickleball Internet was enraged after Ben tanked a mixed match and the Johns brothers withdrew from the tournament completely and cited player safety concerns. If you have absolutely no idea what I'm talking about, pause the video and watch this one, then come back because there's a lot of details missing right here. But the big question was, are Ben and Collin going to try when they get back to MLP? I'm not going to lie. When I saw that their women lost and Ben and Collin lost 11-2 to Christian and Eric, I assumed that the tank was back in full effect. When I went back and watched the match, it just kind of looked like they weren't playing well. Not that they weren't trying, but the mixed match left no doubt about it. Ben was absolutely everywhere. And in fact, he was probably overextending himself, but you can't look at that one and say that he wasn't trying. I mean, just look at a couple of these points.
Smaller margin shots.
Dang. The Hogs take the first mixed match to bring it back to 1-2. Then it's Collin's turn to make a statement. Again, Collin has publicly stated his disdain for MLP in elite communication last year, but was he going to put in the effort to win? And yeah, he was. Collin and Caitlin pulled off an enormous upset over one of the best mixed teams in MLP, Christian and Etta, to force the Dreambreaker. And Christian understandably wasn't happy about it. The Hogs rolled relatively easy in the Dreambreaker, completing the 0-2 comeback and winning their first match of the season. It's no secret that I've been an incredibly vocal critic of Ben and Collin's previous behavior at MLP, so I'll discuss what I think this weekend meant for them, their legacy, and MLP towards the end of this video as well. In the other Friday matches, the Hustlers, playing just one of their starting players again, beat the Hard Eights. It's time for the Hustlers to make some moves if subs are outperforming their lineup players. The Ranchers rebounded with a 4-0 win over the Black Diamonds, and the Hard Eights rebounded with a win over the Slice in a Dreambreaker, with an absolutely poetic ending of Ryan Fu passing James Ignatowicz. Just as the Slice started to be figuring things out, they seemed to sort of take a step back. And in the last match of the night, the Shock took out the Hogs 3-1, and the Johns Bros seemed to be putting in good effort once again, but would they sustain it for the entire weekend? We started Saturday off against the Hard Eights, and our women were able to get a pickle over Judith Castillo and Yelena Ingram. I actually found out that Jelena seems to be replacing Irina in the lineup, and I can kind of see why. This isn't a statement about Irina, but Jelena is really freaking good, and I think she's going to make a lot of noise in this sport. We were able to get the 4-0 win and right the ship after our Utah loss. The Mad Drops beat the Hogs 3-1. Texas subbed out Etta for Helena Jensen to get some match reps against the Hustlers, and they were able to grab a 3-1 win. The Shock swept the Slice and SoCal, and we swept the Slice as well. Utah took down the Hogs 3-1, and while it couldn't be classified as tanking, let's just say that the effort from the Johns brothers was questionable. The match of the day was definitely the Mad Drops versus the Ranchers. The Mad Drops women had been on a tear, but they blew a decent-sized lead and ended up losing that match to Tina and Etta. Hunter and Wang Yun came up clutch with a bizarre strategy. Towards the end of the match, Hunter simply refused to drop a ball. We had several points like this, and it worked well enough to get them the win.
Q tries to drop one. This is hilarious. And they get him.
Tina and Eric rolled Catherine and Wang, then Hunter and Jade beat Christian and Etta. Going into this match, I literally would have picked the opposite result at every single line, but it's relatively clear that the Mad Drops are a better Dreambreaker team, and quite possibly the best Dreambreaker team in the league when they're at full force. They ended up beating the Ranchers 21-17, and I think they're a championship contender when they're healthy. Sunday was full of sweeps and near sweeps. The Mad Drops swept the Hustlers, the Shock swept the Ranchers, and the Ranchers and Hogs both swept the Hard Eights. We 3-1 to the Hustlers, and the Slice pulled out a Dreambreaker win over the Black Diamonds. In the last match of the tournament, we played the Hogs for the first time this year, and for the first time since Willie and I expressed our opinions about the Johns brothers at MLP behavior. The women got the job done, then Willie and I got down before making a late comeback, but it wasn't enough. Megan and I were on a heater against Ben and Tammy, and we were able to get an 11-0 pickle over Ben Johns, which is most definitely the first time I've ever gotten a pickle over Ben. Annalie and Willie sealed the deal with an 11-1 win. Now, back to Ben and Collin. It's been a tough time for them, and obviously I think you reap what you sow. A couple of weeks ago in Atlanta, we saw the most fired up version of Ben Johns that we ever have. Enormous come-ons and falling to the ground after winning singles, and I thought that he and Collin might be changing their attitude. I'm pretty sure if we had 10% of the emotion Ben showed in Atlanta, social media would shut the hell up. Then, on the first day of MLP, Ben and Collin battling back from 0-2 down and winning their mixed matches seemed to reinforce that the Johns brothers have had an attitude shift. But things started to spiral for them on Saturday against the Black Diamonds. And while the tanking could never be as obvious as it was in Columbus, it just didn't look good. Now, I love to think that I'm the best player to ever play pickleball and that Megan and I just took the paddle out of Ben's hands, but realistically, there's no reason for Ben to get pickled by Megan and I. At best, his play was uninspired, and at worst, it was a tank job. Ben is the GOAT of pickleball on the men's side at this point, and whether you like him or not, I don't think that this weekend in Daytona has changed many opinions about their lack of effort at Major League Pickleball. But what do you think? Subscribe for more weekly pickleball updates like this.